Today we got a special guest, Murshida. Murshida, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Murshida. I'm the resident of TCHC. I'm one of the co-chairs from the community working group, which is the STP from the STP table.
Okay.
And right now I'm working with Election Canada as a CRO, which is a community recruiting officer.
Wow.
Okay, doing
big ups.
Big things for the community. All right, I have a few questions for you, Murshida. So, who are the running candidates for the riding center of Toronto Centre? Sorry.
So Toronto Centre riding candidates are for the Liberal Party is Mercy Inn, and for the Conservative Party is Ryan Blaster, and the Green Party is Annie Mae Paul, and NDP is Brian Chang, and the People Party of Canada is Said Jeffrey, and Communist Party is Ivan Bryan, and Animal Protection Party of Canada is Peter Stabbins.
Okay, interesting.
Okay. Some good candidates.
These are some familiar names. Yeah. So basically, I kind of, now that I know all of this information, I just want to know, what is the process like to vote? Because I'm a new voter this year, just turned legal. So I want to know, how do I vote, and who is eligible to vote?
Okay, who's eligible to vote is you have to be a Canadian citizen and over 18.
Okay.
That's a must.
Pretty simple.
And pretty simple, straightforward. It's very simple. You just have to call the 1-800 number. If you go to electioncanada.ca, and there's a number, you just have to go and register yourself, website, or you could call and register yourself, and voila, you're in the system and you're ready to vote even with a 2-piece of ID.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting.
Along with the 2 pieces of ID, what should a certain someone bring to vote?
Everybody's eligible who's Canadian. For people who has an address, they need to bring proof of address, and along with one of the Canadian government piece of ID. People homeless, they could bring their ID can be given with the organization, one of the letter of confirmation they are from the communities. They are from the community, and then OW or ODSP, that could be another piece of ID for them.
Okay.
So what about voting through the mail? Like, I know that in America, they always say that that's not always like the most reliable because your vote can be like invalid. Is that the same here?
I'm also new to this CRO position, so I can maybe get that information in a better way with different officers. But you can vote in the mail, but I don't, by September 14 is the last day to get
So that's today.
Which is today before 6, which is
past. Wow.
Okay. So, but there's still option. You can go to 161 Bay Street before 6 o'clock. Anybody can go vote in the center, which is 161 Bay Street, and you have to go to the 27th floor, and you just get your piece of ID or the voter information. You could do your vote, or you wait until the 20th to do your vote. And to find your polling station, you just have to put your postal. You go to electioncanada.ca, put your postal code, and then they will give the polling station. And I do know we have a less voting polling station this year because due to the COVID.
Yeah.
And then we need to consider all these accessibility issues as well, right?
Yeah.
And for this, do you need a certain voter information card, like your own?
No, like I said, you don't need a voter information card if you didn't get it. As long as you have a 2-piece, you're a Canadian citizen, and you have a 2-piece of ID, you could, and then you have to register with the electioncanada.ca.
Okay. So I know you were talking about the different polling stations. How do I know if I'm on the list for a specific polling station?
You can call the 1-800 number. I can give you if you want it.
Okay.
It's 1-800-361-8935. You just have to call and then give the information, and then they will register you. Or you could go to electionscanada.ca, and there's a registration button. You just have to click and put your information there. It's straightforward answer, your name, last name, first name, and your address.
And that's it?
Yep.
So I know that there's a polling station at the community center
in Regent Park. Are there other ones, and also like in St. Jamestown and Moss Park?
There is, like I said, there is. So according to your postal code, it will be that designated will be you have to be going there. So there is a one in the St. James, and then there's a one in the St. Andrews for the Moss Park, and we have a 402 shooters, and then we have here Daniel Spectrum.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah. So it's like according to your polling number, then you have to go to that place.
So guys, you heard it here first. All the information you need is on Elections Canada. So just put in your postal code and put in all your information, and you should be set in stone. Okay.
Basically, your postal code, and then they will give you the answer right away.
And everyone should get to voting. Wait, Saima, can you vote?
Unfortunately, I cannot vote because I'm only 17 this year.
Oh
Dun,
my
dun,
god.
dun.
Okay, next
Next
time.
election.
Next time.
Exactly.
But you know what's so funny, Saima?
What's so funny?
Even though you can't vote, you could still work for the elections.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of positions do they have?
So that's actually funny you say that, because this past weekend, myself and this host over here, Samir, we were working for the advanced polls, right?
Yeah.
So I was working as a DRO, which is a deputy returning officer.
And Humira, what does a DRO do?
Oh, it's funny you say that. Yeah, so basically what I did is I was responsible for the ballots, so I would give people their ballot cards, whatever.
Wow.
Make sure the ID was proper, look at their voter's card, all of
Name
that
is
stuff.
matching.
Yeah, all of that. So I did all of that for the
The
past
address is matching.
4 days. It's been hectic. And yeah, so I'm just gonna be going back on election night and gonna be counting my ballots.
The fate of the country's in your hands. Do you have any kind of like training to do that? Because I feel like that's a big responsibility.
It's a huge job, yeah. So Samir, you wanna touch up on the training we did?
Can I tell you something else?
Yeah.
Even though if you're going to be 18 on the day, let's say the year of, the day of your voting, you have to be 18, otherwise
Yeah.
you can't vote.
I know. Imagine if you turn 18 on September 21st. Tough luck, right?
Next year.
Yeah.
But some of the training we did was like, so I'm a RO, so that's like a registering officer. So basically people would come to me if they didn't have their voter's card, like we mentioned, and all I had to do was just sign them a quick form if they were in the right area and just send them on their way so that they could vote. Basically the vote, the me registering them was basically like their voter's card, and so it had all their information on them, on the paper, and so they were able to vote right after that.
Hey, don't forget to talk about the voting part.
Oh yeah. So the vouching. Okay, so basically, if you don't have your ID, if you don't have your ID, you could bring a witness that could vouch for you.
Wow.
And so in that case, they could
With the
go
one
ahead.
piece of ID.
One, yeah.
With the
Just-
one piece of
What
ID.
With one piece of ID,
person.
yeah.
One-
And one witness.
Mhm.
And so the person would just vouch for you so that you'd be able to vote.
Yeah, basically just saying like, hey, I do know this person. This is their name. This is their address. So that was a pretty interesting weekend.
And I thought it would be hectic, but it wasn't even that bad. Like, guys, it only takes 10, 15 minutes to vote, so make sure you go out there and vote on the 20th.
Yeah, and you know what was so nerve-wracking for me? Because while working the advanced polls, I was like, okay, this isn't that busy. Like, it was pretty smooth. So I'm like, if it's not busy today, imagine it on the 20th. It's gonna be
Yeah.
packed. It better be packed.
Yeah.
Say, I also want to touch on one piece. People think there's a lot of voting. Like there's some voters. Like if we have a candidates, if you don't like any of the candidates, you could not vote, but you could still vote as a non-voter.
Yeah.
And you can give the vote, and it's still counted. Your vote is counted. If we have a majority of people that who's not voting, and then obviously we can have another government. You know,
Yeah.
it's like so people doesn't know any. A lot of people doesn't know about it. They just voted because I have to vote for some other candidate. But like I said, there's some options you can do that.
Or a lot of
It's
people.
called. There's a word called. I just can't.
Or a lot of people don't even
Protest
vote
vote.
Yeah.
because they feel like, my party's not gonna win, so I'm either gonna do strategic voting or not gonna vote in general. Just like vote for who you want. Vote for
Vote for who's best.
who is best represents
Yeah.
you and the things you stand for.
And then if you don't want to vote for anybody, they just don't vote, and then it's called protest vote.
Oh,
Yeah.
she figured it out.
Yeah, you remembered.
Yeah, no, I literally
I
just
studied.
found that out right now. I
I
didn't
did
know
my
that
homework.
before. You did your homework. Yeah.
So yeah, just to touch up on like the voting day. So I know it's on September 20th. everyone listening to this right now, please mark that in your calendar. We don't want you to miss that date. But
The coming Monday.
yeah, so that brings me to a point. What if I'm working on the 20th and I have a super late shift? How can I get my vote in?
Well, like I said, we had a advanced polling dates, and then we had an advanced polling date, which is like from the 10th to the 13th. And then also we have the 20th, which is our hours are pretty flexible from 9 to 9:30. It's like a 12 hours shift people are working. So hopefully you can make it, or you could still go to the 161 Bay Street to do it. And there is a act on that, but I don't want to speak on that. If you go to electioncanada.ca, you could find it. And the employer have to give it to you with the pay. I think it's like a 1 hour.
Oh, so that so are you
like before they start this shift, or after they can let them go early or in the middle somewhere. So I think there's a they have to do that.
Okay. So yeah, guys, you guys heard it here first. Working on election day is not an excuse to vote. You guys can ask your employers for an hour off, an additional lunch break, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have one more question. One last question, and this question is going to go to Special Rebel. Rebel, I have a question for you. If I have more questions about voting, where can I get the information? Where can I get the information, Rebel? At Elections Canada. You heard it here first.
.ca. Okay, that's so funny. Actually, before we wrap that up, one final super. I know that should have been our last question, but just want to touch up on the actual polling stations we have. Yeah, right, the accessibility issues, right? We just want to know, are the polling stations equipped to handle those who need special accessibility things?
Yes. They have to do. They have to be accessible. They have to look into those needs at least 15 mandatory accessibility criteria, like a level of accessing, entrance, voting room, and located on the same level as the same entrance and door that can be easily opened, or if pretty much right now every door is easily accessible, or the information officer is supposed to do that for you. That's why I hired that information officer, so they can hold the door for you. And then wide extension frame surface that free of obstructed, and then good interior, and then exterior lighting as well. So.
I think that's really good, important. I think I learned this in class. Like, there's so many reasons why people don't vote, and it's for very simple things. But it seems like this year, or not this year, but it seems like they're well organized.
Yes.
For all those.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I also agree that government has been stepping it up, very well organized.
Stepping it up.
However, if you do go to your polling station and you feel like they're not well organized, feel free to fill in those feedback form, y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can fill it with me, and I can always get to them.
Yes,
Exactly.
guys. So, Murshida, why don't you tell the viewers how to reach out to you?
You can email me. It's mursidas@hotmail.com. I think that's the best way you can reach me.
Okay, perfect. And so, yeah, just like Samir said earlier, final question to wrap this up. I know Rebel said it earlier, but how can we find more information out if we have more questions before the date?
If you have access to internet, you could go to, like I said, you could go to www.electionscanada.ca, or you could call one of those toll-free numbers, which is 1-800-361-8935, or we have our head office here. We could also reach out to them, which is 1-866-714-6422.
You heard it here first, guys. Thank you, Murshida.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the little notification bell so you never miss out on any of our content. If you'd also like more, you can find us on our other social media platforms. And if you want even more, you can look at our website.